Okay, so direct proportion again today, except this time with squares, cubes and square roots. So make sure to read the question very carefully. The quantity of light Q given out by a lamp is proportional to the square of the current I passing through the lamp. So I can write that Q is directly proportional to the square of I. So it's proportional to I squared. Now, as with last lesson, if that's true, then Q must be equal to some number K, which is what we're going to go and find out, multiplied by I squared. So again, just as we did last lesson, we're going to go and put in these two numbers that it's given us into our formula and work out the value of K. So Q goes in as 1000, and that equals K multiplied by I squared, except I is now 2. Well, now I know that 2 squared is 4, so K times 4 equals 1000. So to get K on its own, I need to divide both sides by 4, so make a note of that. That gives me as the next line 250 equals K. And this is the bit quite a few people were forgetting last lesson. As soon as I've worked out K, I need to go and put it back in to this formula here. So I'm going to write that out again, except I'm going to put K in for 250 this time. So Q equals 250 I squared. And that's the formula that I need for the first part. So now I can do part B using the formula. Find the value of Q when I equals 3. So for the next two parts, I'm just going to need this bit. So I can rewrite this formula, except I'm going to go and put in Q. No, I'm not. I'm finding the value of Q. I'm going to put it in when I equals 3. So when I equals 3, find the value of Q. So Q equals 250 multiplied by I equals 3 squared. 3 squared is 9, so Q equals 250 times 9, and 250 times 9 is 2250. And that's my answer. I found my value of Q. Part C, and I'm going to need my formula again. And this time I'm finding the value of I when Q equals 2000. So I can write out my formula again. Except this time I'm going to put Q in as 2000. So 2000 equals 250 I squared. So I need to find I this time. So the first thing I've got to do is get rid of the 250. That's currently 250 times I squared. So to get rid of it, I need to divide both sides by 250. If I do that, on the left hand side that leaves me with 8. And on the right hand side that leaves me with I squared. Now, if I squared equals 8, to find what I is, we need to do the opposite of squaring it, which is to square root it. So I must be equal to the square root of 8, at which point I reach for my calculator and find that the square root of 8 to 3 significant figures is 2.83. And that's that first one done. Number 2, y is proportional to the cube of x. When x equals 8, y equals 1000. So, first of all, we can write out y is proportional to the cube of x. And if that's true, it must be the case that y equals some number k multiplied by x cubed. So we've just got to go and find out what k is again. So let's put our numbers in. Y is 1000, and that equals k multiplied by x, which is 8 cubed. h cubed is 512, so it's k times 512. So to find k on its own, I need to get rid of this 512. I'm going to do that by dividing both sides by 512. As the next line, that leaves me with 1000 divided by 512, which I need a calculator for, and that is 1.953125, which I'm not going to chop off at all. On the right hand side, that just leaves me with k. So again, as soon as I've worked out the value of k, I'm just going to go straight back to the formula I've written there and stick in my value of k. So y equals all this lot x cubed. So that's my formula done. There's only one other part here. Find the value of x when y equals 1728. So when y is 1728, I need to go and find x, and it's 1.953125 x cubed. So to get x on its own, which is what I'm after, I've got to get rid of the 1.953125 first of all, and that means, well, currently it's 1.953125 multiplied by x cubed. So to get rid of it, I've got to divide both sides by all of that lot. If I do that, again, I'm going to need a calculator here. That gives me 884.736, and that equals x cubed. So the opposite of cubing something is to cube root it, so that's going to be my final step. I'm going to cube root both sides. And once I've done that, if I cube root my answer, it gives me 9.6. And that must be my value of x. So after all that, we end up with actually quite a nice round answer. One more question, then you can have a go at some of those. A variable y is directly proportional to the square root of another variable x. So y is proportional to the square root of x. Again, if that's true, y must be equal to some number k multiplied by the square root of x. So we're just going to put those numbers in. So y, which is 3, is equal to k multiplied by the square root of some number x, which is 25. Now I know what the square root of 25 is, so we can call that 3 equals k times 5. Again, to find k on its own, I need to divide both sides by 5. As I do that, that leaves me with 3 over 5 equals k, which you could also call 0.6 if you wanted to. Remember, as soon as I've done that, I go straight back into the formula that I've written here, and I replace k with the value I've worked out. So my new formula is y equals 0.6 root x. So now I've just got to find the value of x when y equals 1.2. So let's put that in. When y is 1.2, I've got 0.6 multiplied by the square root of x. So I need to find x. So the first thing I've got to get rid of is this 0.6. Currently it's 0.6 times by the square root of x. So to get rid of 0.6, I'm going to divide both sides by it. If I do that, on the left hand side it leaves me with 1.2 divided by 0.6, which is 2. On the right hand side, I've got rid of that now, so it leaves me with the square root of x. the square root of x equals 2, then to find out what x is, I just need to square both sides. So that'll leave me with x equals 2 squared, which is 4. Okay, make sure you're checking your answers as you go through them. Have fun.